Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making keto-friendly beef Wellingtons. Let's go. Beef Wellingtons traditionally call for a piece of tenderloin, but unfortunately I didn't have any steak lying around, so I've just defrosted 150 grams of burger meat. Defrosted mince tends to hold a lot of moisture, so I'm just giving it a gentle squeeze so as not to have a soggy pastry. We're going to flavor our meat with a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and very accurately measured half teaspoon of onion powder. Then we're going to add a half teaspoon of smoked paprika, followed by between a quarter teaspoon to half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, really depending on how much heat you want. And for a little bit of warmth, we're going to add a half teaspoon of ground cumin. Then try and mix everything with a flimsy spatula, give up, and then go in with your fingers. Using a kitchen scale, just weigh the meat so that you have 3 equal portions, and then form each portion into a loosely packed meatball and then set aside. Also preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius before starting work on your pastry dough. And the dough is essentially a modified fathead dough, which is shredded mozzarella and almond flour. A lot of you in the comments have asked me what cheeses I use, so this is the brand. It's Farmer's Cheese, and they do a decent mozzarella and not bad Parmesan. So we're going to take about half a cup of mozzarella and just grate it using this food processor. It's much faster this way. Noisier, but faster. Here's a pro tip. Freeze your cheese for about 20 minutes before grating. It'll make it much easier. Simultaneously, I'm also going to preheat a cast iron pan with a splash of olive oil. This is going to be used to get a nice sear on the meatballs. Once the oil starts to smoke and the pan is hot enough, we're going to add the meatballs. We're going to space them out evenly and leave them relatively undisturbed so that they get a nice sear on one side. After about a minute and a half, it's time to flip the beef and sear the other side. Cooking the meat over high heat will make sure that we get some good color on the outside while the inside still remains underdone. This is important because we're going to bake this for about 20 minutes afterwards, and we don't want the meat to overcook in the oven. Once the meat looks like it's about done, we're going to add a sneaky tablespoon of butter. This is going to really enhance the flavor of the beef, and it's going to add a bit of nuttiness as it browns. Then we're going to remove the beef from the pan and let it rest while we work on our dough. But first, we're going to hit the beef with some salt and pepper right after it comes off the pan. To melt the cheese, we're going to use a bain-marie, which is essentially a large heat-proof bowl placed over a saucepan with some water over a stove. This is going to provide a gentle heat to the bottom of the metal bowl and allow the cheese to melt slowly. In the meantime, we're going to measure out the other ingredient for the fathead dough, which is a quarter cup of almond flour. The controlled heat from the bain-marie is gently coaxing the mozzarella to melt and form a consistent paste. Once the mozzarella is sufficiently gooey, we can add in our almond flour and mix till combined completely. If the mozzarella gets too firm, we can always return it to the heat to help with the mixing process. After about a minute or two of mixing, you should have a nice little ball of dough. Using parchment paper or slightly oiled silicone mats, we're going to proceed to roll out our dough into a thin sheet. We're going to roll out our keto pastry until it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. It's important to do this while the dough is still warm because it makes it much easier to handle. This dough is going to be used to make 3 keto beef Wellingtons, so I've sort of mentally mapped them out, and I'm going to spread out a layer of chicken liver pate over the first third of the dough. Then I'm just going to slice it with the back of my knife so as not to cut through my silicone mat. I'm going to place the meatball into the dough and sort of fold it and roll it around. I'm trying to make sure that the meat is completely sealed inside the dough. This is to try and prevent the juices from leaking out. Don't forget to pinch either end of the roll to make sure you have a good seal. We're going to repeat this process for the remaining 2 meatballs. So we're just going to section the dough, add a layer of chicken liver pate, onto which we'll add our meatball, and then roll and seal the pastry. Next, we're going to put a piece of parchment paper or a silicone mat onto a baking sheet, and then place the beef Wellingtons onto the pan. Hit them with some rock salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And into the oven they go for about 20 to 30 minutes or until nice and golden brown. So it's been about 5 minutes and we're already starting to see some good color. To help this along, I'm just going to baste them with some olive oil. And I'm going to repeat this basting process about every 5 minutes. So they've been baking for about 25 minutes and I could let them go on for maybe 5 minutes longer, but they smell really good and I'm really hungry. So do as I say, not as I do. Let the Wellingtons rest for about 5 minutes before serving. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, stay happy, and eat well.